Hello, my name's Gemma and I'm a carrot and I have been since 2021. Now, if you have somehow stumbled on this video and don't know anything about K-pop, you may think that I've introduced myself as a garden variety vegetable, but no, Carrot is the name of the K-pop group 17's fan base. 17 is a 13-member boy group that debuted in 2015, and if I see one comment saying, why are they called 17 if there's 13 members? I'm going to freak out. But truthfully, I won't be getting into the members or the group as a whole today, really, because that's not what this video is about. So if you're interested in learning more about 17, then I will link some good guides that are here on YouTube in the description box below, because today I will be talking about Going 17, which is 17's variety show. Now, if you are not new to K-pop, and hopefully those are the people watching this video, because otherwise you'll be very lost, you won't be surprised to hear that 17 has their own variety show, and you may even have seen some of their clips floating around on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, wherever. And that is because Going 17 has become its own phenomenon, kind of outside of 17 and the group. And in a very short time, in under 3 years, they have amassed their own fan base as a show, have a collaboration episode with another famous web show, and have earned the unofficial title of Korea's national web show. So that, in my opinion, is enough of a reason to want to make a excruciatingly long video about Going 17. But that actually wasn't really why I decided to finally do this. The reason I decided to finally make a video was because I was looking up the Going 17 episodes I hadn't watched yet, because I knew there was definitely some. I joined the Carrot fandom in 2021, and 17 had been around for years. So when you join a new fan base, there's a lot to catch up on. There's all their songs, like performance videos, choreography videos, behind the scenes content, fan-made content, so it just becomes very overwhelming. So I kind of just started watching where I was in 2021, and then if the YouTube algorithm had suggested another episode to me, or if I saw fans speaking about one particular episode, I would go check those out. But that was I knew I was missing stuff for sure. So I went on Wikipedia and looked at the list, and at first it said that it had been going since 2017, and I almost passed out because in my head was like, I don't think I've seen anything before 2019. And I was right. I started writing down all the episodes that I needed to watch, and that's when I realized that before 2019, Going 17 hadn't been a variety show. Now, I will get into what it had been previously momentarily, but that is kind of what intrigued me. It had grown so large in such a short period of time, in roughly like 3-ish years. It had become this show that we know it to be today. And I don't know, I wanted to know, how did they do that? And where did they start? How has it progressed? What was it like before? These are all the questions I want to hopefully answer in this video, or at least give my opinion on. But first, to answer those questions, we need to, as Hilary Duff once said, back to the sun, the stars are the line, 'cause perfect didn't seem so perfect. Such a good song. Now, I could assume every single person who clicks on this video knows about idol variety shows, but in case my mom decides to watch, then here's how they came about. In 2000, the K-pop group G.O.D. appeared in a variety show called Baby Diary on NBC, in which they acted as a family and took care of a baby together. It was just some random person's baby. Yeah, it's a strange concept, but it was cute. The show lasted from January 2000 to May 2001. This was the first time an idol group had their own variety show, and one that lasted more than a couple episodes. It became so popular and had such impressive ratings that KBS, a competitor network, had to switch their most popular show's time slot because they just couldn't compete. After the massive success of Baby Diary, more and more idol-centric variety shows started to appear on Korean networks, such as Explorers of the Human Body with Super Junior or Wild Bunny with 2PM. The caveat here was that these shows were produced and aired by networks. As time went on, more networks put out shows starring idols and created more variety shows that idols, actors, models, and other Korean celebrities could come on to promote their projects. In 2011, Weekly Idol aired for the first time, and it definitely changed the game. Once again, if you're a K-pop fan, you've probably watched a Weekly Idol episode. The premise is incredibly simple. Two comedians sit on a white background and invite idol groups on the show, and they make them play silly games and back in the day do very embarrassing and uncomfortable tasks. The fans loved it, but idols did not.
갑니다. 대박 나라고. 갑니다. 대박 화이팅! 갑니다. 대박 화이팅! 늦게 나왔지. 여기서 늦게 나왔어. 놀러 와. 들어. 계속 빨리 들어. 눈 뜨란 말이야. 눈 떠. 뭔데 도대체? 눈 봐. 쟤네. 대박나자.
네.
대박나. 움직이지 마.
파이팅!
대박나. 스테이 대박.
It was very difficult to watch, truthfully. Like, even from those clips I just included, like, I cringed collecting them. Oh, it's so uncomfortable. Like, I can't imagine. I really can't. So I'm not sure if BTS were the first to come up with their own in-house variety show. It's kind of hard to verify because it really depends on what you qualify as a variety show. Is it one episode or is it a whole series? Either way, in 2015, a couple years after BTS's debut, they introduced Run BTS. This aired on V Live as well as their own YouTube channels and allowed them to do similar games and tasks to what they did on other shows, but without being traumatized in the process. From here on, it became common to see other third and fourth generation groups coming up with their own version of a variety show, and it made sense as to why they were all doing it. On their own show, they could put out consistent content. They didn't have to depend on a network schedule, and fans didn't have to wait until there was a comeback. Groups with a lot of members or with introverted folks could make content that allowed their members to shine, as well as putting their own content on YouTube allowed for monetization and also allowed them to grow their global audience. It was a win-win, win-win-win-win. So that is by no means an in-depth timeline or look at the progression of variety shows, but it does give you an idea as to why 17 would be interested in doing one. So let's get back to the topic of Going 17. As I mentioned, prior to April 2019, Going 17 was not the Gold Star variety show we know it to be today. It was actually the name for their behind-the-scenes content. It was mostly travel vlogs, comeback clips, behind-the-scenes dance practice, things like that. One of my favorite early Going 17 vlogs is the Boo Suksoon unit debut because I'm heavily biased. Stream Just Do It for clear skin, and also they literally today announced that on February 6, 2023, they will be coming back with their first ever single. I'm so excited. Oh, it's all I can think about. So please also stream that. I don't know when this video is going up, but get ready to stream or be streaming. Be streaming it, please. Please. Throughout 2017 and 2018 though, they would have occasional variety style episodes that would appear, such as an episode where they broke into teams to cook rice cake soup, and they also had episodes called their free time episodes. So, how did Going 17 in the format we know it as today come about? I was hoping you would ask. From its inception, 17 made sure to include the fans in the process of creating Going 17. The first official episode of Going 17 is episode 4, presenting the new employees of Going Entertainment. In this episode, each member takes turns getting up and presenting their ideas for what Going 17 should be like and the types of episodes they would like to film. The sky is the limit and no idea is off the table to start. Interestingly enough, some of the episodes mentioned are clearly stored away by the production team and used for later seasons. This starts the trend of be careful what you say around the Going staff, because you literally never know if they'll just take one line, one word, one thought you had and use it for a video.
Food truck. Food truck.
Although they have never done DK's food truck idea and he really wants to do it, so if a Going 17 staff member happens upon this video, then get my boy a food truck, please. Like, I'm begging you. He wants one. He's mentioned it. This is his dream. So just like film something. Do anything. Please. He deserves it. Would you like to come up here with mommy? This is comfortable for both of us. We're both enjoying it. Throughout the episode, you can tell that 17 has a really good grasp on what kind of content their fans enjoy and what it is about them that really works and is special in Carrot's eyes. That the awareness that they show in episode 1 of the series contributes to why this show became as popular as it did, as quick as it did. Despite the simple nature of this episode though, there are tons of moments that show their chemistry and make you laugh as well. And those are 2 important factors that carry through every episode of the series. The 2 episodes where they create the opening song and video sequence come directly after the presenting the employees of Going Entertainment and continue to show the process of Going 17. The idea for this episode and concept was actually Sungkwan's idea from the Presenting the Employees episode. At the beginning of the episode, the members announced that they're going to come up with their own opening and closing sequence songs to add a personal 17 touch to their show. It's the first and only idol variety show that I know of to do this, still to this day. The episodes documenting the process show how much effort 17 put into Going 17. Idols are busy, and for the most part, idol content like this is mostly taken off of their plate. Going 17 could have easily been something their in-house team put together, and all the members would have had to do is just shown up to film it. Instead, we get a look at how much 17 cares about their brand and messaging, from the logo to the lyrics in the opening song to the ideas for their episodes. During these specific 2 episodes, 17 writes the lyrics for their opening song, which is a message welcoming the viewers to the show and letting them know that they were missed. The ending song has lyrics saying goodbye and urging the viewers to come back next week because it'll be better. These lyrics were written by the members Woozi, Sungkwan, DK, Jonghan, and Hoshi. Here is a clip of that song. Honestly, this song, I wish that they had released a full version somewhere because I listened to it and I feel happy. After they create the song, they take their rough cut to the group and brainstorm more ideas. In this meeting, Joshua suggests that each member come up with a goodbye phrase they can play at the end, revealing them member by member. Then they come up with the official dance move, choreographed by DK. It's like this. I'm sitting and I don't want to wake up my dog. It's not because I'm a bad dancer and would absolutely flop. The second part of the episode shows the process of them filming the opening sequence footage. It's clear through watching them create the opening and closing sequences that 17 believes Going 17 should be uplifting and a way for fans to escape no matter where they are or what they're going through, such as in a bus or in their bed. I mainly watch it in my bed. I have never watched it on a bus. I'd be so engrossed if I was watching it on a bus that I would miss my stops so fast. Oh my God. Who watches on a bus? So that was the final cut that is used for the entirety of Going 17 2019 season. The footage they shot in that episode is used for the intro, and then the ending song is played over clips promoting next week's episode. I looked up all the ending phrases from the members. While watching, I was able to recognize most of their voices, but a couple did trip me up a little bit, and I did not want to come on here basically saying that S-Coups had said something when it was really Wonu, because then I would honestly rather die. And their voices actually aren't even that similar, but I just know I would fuck up. So here they all are, thanks to this Redditor that had shared all of the different phrases and what they meant. So S-Coups' phrase is our happy story. Jonghan's is be happy today too. Joshua is see you soon. June is see you again next time. Hoshi is ha 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 ha, see you again. Woozi is today too, have a day full of laughter slash smile. Wonu is next time at this hour, which to me is like a newscaster. He's like giving us the tea. The Yates is see you in your dreams, which is very Freddy Krueger of him. DK is I'm your vitamin, which is very cute. Vernon is till next time, bye. Very to the point. Sungkwan is please subscribe, like, and ring the bell, which is Sungkwan always be promoting, you know? And then Dino is close your eyes. Honestly, it's like very threatening. I don't know why he's threatening me. What did I do? I will quickly note that these ending phrases are used exclusively through the 2019 season, but not afterwards. The Going 17 2019 season officially started in episode 4 of the 2019 season and the 57th Going 17 episode overall. That episode was presenting the employees of Going Entertainment, mentioned previously. The episode shows the creation of the show, the inception of it all. The first official episodes that started Going 17 as the variety show we know it today are episodes 63 and 64 overall. After these episodes aired, there were 2 more vlog-style episodes, which were 65 and 66. But after episode 66, no more behind-the-scenes content episodes aired under the name Going 17. Behind-the-scenes vlog-style videos were then branded to how we know them today as Inside 17. Going 17 2019 ran from March 11th, 2019 to January 6th, 2020 and has a total of 20 episodes, all coming in at around 25 to 30 minutes each. As per the Going Entertainment episode, most of the ideas for this season's episodes are taken directly from the members' suggestions. I figured I would walk through all the episodes of the season. I'm going to talk about what happened in each episode, mentioning any important overarching themes or noticeable changes to the formats, because this season lays the groundwork for 2020 and 2021-2022, as well as introduces a couple of our fan favorite episodes. So let's go, go, go. So similarly to the first 3 episodes of Going 17, I need to find versions out there with English subtitles. So shout out to Peach Sky and Blue Fever. Honestly, without them, I would not have been able to watch any of the earlier episodes. So please check out their channels. The links will be down below. Hello, quick editing me here. Just another note that I also did use Carrot Gu and Amber Deung's translations and clips from early Going 17 episodes as well, so big thank you to them. Their links will be down below as well. Big thank you to anyone out there that really translates any content from K-pop idols so that us Korean speaking folks can enjoy them, so yes. The idea of Dangdang Gamche is Hoshi's. The concept for this episode is that there are hardworking people out there that are doing things that the boys take for granted in their daily life. They want to appreciate them by doing that work for a day. So in these episodes, the boys are broken up into 2 teams, which are the milk team and the coffee team. The milk team arrives at a ranch to do ranch tasks for the day, such as milking cows and feeding sheep. The coffee team is tasked with learning about how to make coffee for the day, including walking through a museum of coffee and learning about the process from when it's harvested to roasted to served. Hoshi seems to be on both the milk and coffee team and acts as a host for the episode. And due to a scheduling conflict that kept Mingyu and Woozi from being able to film, the teams are definitely somewhat uneven. You can definitely tell that this is an early episode of Going 17. They are very much testing out the concept and it feels a little too scripted at times. Hoshi acts as a true host and reads off statistics about milk and coffee consumption in Korea. You can feel the members hesitating at times, waiting to be told what to do. It also seems like they are following a bit of a play-by-play and get to insert moments of themselves into the episode, but it's less led by the members of 17 and their own variety skills. At other times, it feels like it isn't quite enough structure. Like the tasks are set, but there's no goal to completing them other than gaining an appreciation of how these products are made. And I bring this up not because I don't think it's worthwhile to learn something new or that idol variety shows can't include this type of informative content, but that 17 has a very unique charm to them that wasn't showcased as well in these first 2 episodes. Ultimately, I guess it feels less like it's their variety show and more like they're guesting on someone else's variety show. I'd say the weirdest parts, though, are the Mingyu and Woozi self-inserts that show them talking about their schedules outside of what the variety show is doing. It feels very much like there's some confusion on how exactly they're going to go about Going 17 as strictly a variety show. I don't mean to harp on these episodes too much. I know that this is their first try at the format, and there are absolutely some very funny and cute moments throughout, such as the Milk Team's slogan,
I love 우유. Let's go.
the boys feeding calves,
얘 너무 목말랐나? 야무지게도 먹는다. 얘. 알았어. 오케이. 야, 먹어. Hey, bro. 어이구. 어이구, 너무 급하게 먹어서 기침 나네. 됐어. 이제 없어. 어이구, 너무 급하게 먹어서 기침 나와.
S-Coups and Dino wanting to give up coffee because of how much work they had to do,
누구 아이디어야? 커피 앞으로 안 마실게요. 이제 커피 안 마시겠습니다. 건호 씨!
very relatable, and the iconic back and forth scene with the sheep and DK and Sungkwan.
밥 왔다. 그래. 밥 먹고 싶지? 밥 먹고 싶어요. 자, say yeah. Say yeah. Say me. Say me. 좋아. Say me. 같이 매 해야지. Say me.
These are the first Going 17 episodes on the official 17 channel with English subtitles. Hallelujah! In this season, Going 17 offered 3 languages for subtitles, and those are Korean, English, and Japanese. The concept for this episode is incredibly simple. All the guys gather around to take MBTI tests, which are essentially personality tests. There are 16 personality types you can get. You are either an extrovert or an introvert, a sensor or a sensor or intuitive, a feeler or a thinker, and finally a perceiver or a judger. Even though Dangdang Gamche is technically the official start of Going 17, I would say that the MBTI episodes are the first representative episodes of the series. The episodes focus on the members themselves, and even though the goal is simple, learning more about their personalities, it allows them to make jokes and interact with each other in a more natural way, which I would argue is a big key to Going 17's success. We'll put a pin in that for now, though. This is also where we start to see the trademark Going 17 style of editing that adds humor to the show.
그러니까 네가 그렇게 해서 약간 이런 느낌? 네가 그렇게 해서 저 죄송한데 디노 마이크 좀 잘라.
The members start to cultivate variety show personalities in this episode as well, which I will also get into more later, so another pin. Pin City, bitch. Pin City, bitch. 10, 20s. Another quick thing to mention about this episode is the logo branding. This is a super small detail and really barely anything to notice, but it goes from like a standard Going 17 logo that was included in all their previous behind the scenes vlog content to a logo that is created specifically for each episode. To me, it feels like after their first attempt at the show, they upped the quality, and it feels like possibly they brought in more of a production team to help them shape the show and make it feel less like 17's usual content. That's not confirmed though, and they spoke about having a Going 17 staff pretty much from the start, so it's possible it was just their in-house folks and they just kind of did some brainstorming. Overall, it's less scripted, there's an actual plan and a practical set. There are no self-inserts of anything non-variety related, lighting and better camera angles. There's an overall polish to these episodes, and it starts to look and feel like a separate entity. Not 17 doing something funny together, but Going 17, their variety show. There is a strong sense of it being 17 the group's show though, because they have these little transition clips that include their songs, and they do their standard group greeting at the beginning of every episode. Now, let's get into the actual episode. For most of part 1, the episode is pretty straightforward. They take their MBTI quizzes and talk about what results they receive.
유명인이 있는데 비욘세.
비욘세 형이 가져갔어. 비욘세 나도 비욘세 되고 싶은데.
캡틴 아메리카.
근데 캡틴 아메리카 보인다. 진짜로. 어떤 느낌인지 알겠어.
Part 2 and 3 of these episodes, though, is where I believe it gets really funny. You'll often see clips of these episodes in fan edits. Part 2 and 3 are called 17 Strange Interview and include hidden camera situation tests that took place months after the initial MBTI filming so as not to raise any suspicion. The boys believe that they are there for another episode's pre-filming interview, but they are one by one left in a room with people who are dressed up as creepy mannequins. The lights will go out mid-interview and the mannequins start to move. The idea is to test how they react in the situation and how quickly they figure out that the mannequins are real. They loosely tie it back to the MBTI thing, but it's more just a funny prank. Their reactions range from fear,
아씨! 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 왜 무서워 이거? 와 잠깐만. 와! 아! 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 왜?
to anger,
진짜 사람이구나 이거 지금. 아이고 씨 무서워 죽겠네. 아이고 무서워요 하지 마요 진짜. 무서워.
왜 짜증내잖아.
짜증났어. 아 하지 마. 하지 마세요.
to absolute indifference.
이럴 줄 알았다 진짜. 안녕하세요. 아 재미없어. 이거 연기 너무 잘하시는데? 아, 딱 그거였구만.
Honestly, I'm a little bit jealous of that mannequin that Wanu hugged because just giving out hugs for free, I guess. Where's my hug? I'm going through it. But honestly, I'd probably react more like DK or Dino. I felt tense just watching the episodes, like I'm sweating thinking about it now.
무섭다. 하지 말라고.
This episode is based on an idea of Vernon's in which he suggested they do an episode in a karaoke room, and he also suggested they would need a certain score to leave. Of course, they aren't just singing though, because that wouldn't be Going 17. As the name suggests, the producers took that and combined the idea of an escape room and a karaoke room, so they need to get that certain score from the karaoke machine to be able to leave. To ramp up the pressure and to ignite 17's competitive spirit, they are broken up into two teams, and whichever team gets to 100 first can leave first. The other team will have to stay until they get the score that they need. For another bit of fun, they can only sing songs on the menu that have 3 digits. To access more songs, they need to partake in small missions that earn them that access. I would say this becomes a consistent format of Going 17. They rarely do one task for an entire episode. There are usually levels, small challenges, or punishments that make things more interesting. You can find a number of in-jokes between fans where they discuss how complicated some of these episodes can get. I would recommend not watching Going 17 when you're tired unless you enjoy being confused.
이렇게 두 팀으로 나눠져서 이제 100점을 맞으면 바로 탈출할 수 있는 거잖아.
아 지금 나눠줬어 지금?
그러면은 일단 저 봤어 혹시 지금? 아니.
From the start, 3 songs in and 10 minutes into shooting, Hoshi and Mingyu pull a 100 score, which pretty much ends the episode. I guess Going 17 production team forgot that they were dealing with legitimately professional singers. Like, if anyone is going to get 100, it's going to be them. The production team compromises though and asks them to stay and continue for the price of 1 Wish coupon. put a pin in the Wish coupons for now, just kind of remember their existence. In general, the concept is they can get a Wish coupon and then later on receive some sort of, they can receive something from the Going 17 staff or from another member in future episodes. The rest of part 1 is them trying to complete hidden missions so they can win more songs and hints, and most notably, there is an iconic Just Do It performance by Boo Suksoon themselves. Oh, I'm getting so excited. The second part of this episode starts with a math problem, which is my worst nightmare.
와,
모르겠다.
난 찾은 것 같아.
뭐야,
어떻게
뭐야?
하지? 천재?
왜?
잠깐만. 자, 여러분 봐보세요. 자, 3 더하기 2는 5. 네. 4 더하기 8은 12. 네. 18. 22. 그 공통점이 뭐야?
I love Hoshi's unearned confidence when it comes to math. It's very unearned. The group continues to sing songs together, and eventually when Hoshi gets them another perfect score, they are allowed to leave. Hoshi really is the karaoke master. I love the idea of 17 being stuck in a karaoke room until they have enough content for an episode. You can really start to see the life drain from their eyes as the episode continues.
됐다 이제 이거.
The format of this episode is somewhat limiting as it takes place all in one room, and the variables around how they can win are incredibly unpredictable, as we saw with the members getting a perfect score within minutes. This is something that I believe the crew takes into consideration for future episodes. They start to find a balance between too much structure and not enough. That being said, this episode is still beloved by fans, and it shows the members having a good time together, and that in itself is entertaining. We've now come to a heavy hitter episode, one that becomes a fan favorite and a series regular. At this point, there are 3 debate night episodes, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 4th pop up in the 2023 season. This episode is exactly as the name describes. The members are split into 2 teams, 6 and 6, with Wonu as a moderator. The idea is to debate nonsense topics, and the more nonsense your rebuttal is, the better. There are no real winners or other special tasks for this episode. There are 3 rounds with 3 different topics, but the real draw here are the silly arguments between the members. If you look at the comments under both parts, it's mainly viewers pointing out funny things being said by the boys. So simply put, it's mindless fun, and that's why it's so loved.
그래서 산다고 했죠.
자, 끝나셨나요?
아닙니다.
아니 안 끝났습니다.
진행해 주세요.
사실 보통 설사 다 들어주지 않나요? 기욤 씨가 아예 들어주지
네,
않나요?
진행해 주세요.
저 옵니다.
진행해 주세요.
실수네요.
In terms of the production too, this episode is a slam dunk. It's cheap to make, easy to prepare, and with the way that 17 can talk forever, there was never a danger of them having a lack of content. If anything, they probably had to cut them off at some point. Okay, can we go home? On a personal note, these episodes are not really my favorite. It's a little too static for me, but I understand why others love them so much.
다음 현재 팀 소감 부탁드립니다.
네. 일단
자, 현재 팀.
Okay, fun fact everyone, this is actually not the first TTT episode that ever aired. I'm probably the only person that didn't know this. In 2018, before Going 17 became a variety show, they aired 3 episodes called TTT MT17 Reality. From a Reddit comment, I found out that MT stands for membership training, and essentially in Korea, schools, clubs, or coworkers will go on a retreat for bonding purposes. Now, this is absolutely something I've done in North America. We usually called them retreats or just trips. I like the idea of a membership training though. In the first ever TTT 2018 version, the members go to stay in a house together. They cook, swim in a pool, and play games. This concept becomes the blueprint for all future TTT episodes. The members go somewhere remote, have fun as friends, and create content while doing so. There's usually very little interference from the production team, or almost none at all. I definitely recommend you watch the first original TTT episode if you haven't.
마석 보이네, 마석. 보시면 저런 것도 마석 얘기했겠네. 마석. 100%죠. 사람들 마석 얘기거든요. 야, 다 알아! 뭘 몇 년 해봤는데! 인터뷰에서 우리 데뷔한 지 한 4년이 됐는데. 와, 진짜 얘기했어! 와, 여러분 지금 옆에서 바로 내렸어요!
For the first ever official Going 17 TTT, members go out into the wilderness to camp overnight. By wilderness, I mean like a campsite with like manicured grass. But there are trees, so. I mean, I'm not much of a camper, but I know that this is not the wilderness, so. Put them in I'd love to see them do like a Bear Grylls version of the wilderness where they have to like survive. Part 1 of this episode is essentially free time. The members can do whatever they please. Nap, read, play games, or catch bugs if you're Hoshi and Junghan. There are dogs and kittens on this campsite, and I would honestly lay my life down for them. They're very cute. And they don't bark? No, they don't. You're the type that barks a lot. Now, in this first TTT, it has a more structured approach than the other two in later seasons. I believe that they tried out this format, and then after their more hands-off TTT in season 2, the format changed. In part 2 of this TTT, the staff steals all their tents, camping gear, food, games, and tells them they can win them back by beating them in games. This is where we see a big part of Junghan's eventual variety personality come to the surface. The cheater, manipulator, liar. If you look on TikTok, you can find 100 versions of people comparing him to the devil. All in good fun, of course. The members are able to win back their camping gear with only a little bit of cheating. A lot of cheating.
다 세븐틴.
네, 알겠습니다.
첫 번째는 다 세븐틴, 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 첫 번째는 다 세븐틴.
일단 한번 해볼까요?
In part 3, the members eat food and talk about their feelings. It's very cute. So I am bundling these 4 episodes together because for the first and only time, the beginning of a new episode with a completely different concept starts 3/4 of the way through another episode. I'll explain my reasons for why I believe they did this shortly, but it is never done again, and I'm kind of glad. I found it incredibly jarring and disorienting to watch, and just like not needed, to be honest. The basic premise of 17 Playground is that the members go to a park and play a series of nostalgic games from their childhood. They play Escape, which seems to be a version of Marco Polo, The Floor is Lava, and Tag combined. The members are allowed to play on the play structure only, and not the sand at all. If a member touches the sand, they become the tagger. You can of course also become a tagger if you get tagged, and then if you are seen running, which is disallowed because they are fearful that the tagger whose eyes are closed will be injured. The chaos that ensues this episode made me so happy that my cheeks hurt from smiling the entire time.
야, 준이 무리수 크게 뒀다, 야. 야, 준이 무리수. 지금 몇 분 남았어요?
So it's definitely worth a watch. They then play a small game to decide the snack time order and a game called Kick the Can. I believe my friends and I played a version of this called Lion when I was a kid. It's essentially like a version of Capture the Flag and Cops and Robbers. An important part of this episode to keep in mind is that the members bet Junghan that they can beat him at Kick the Can, and if they do, then they get 5 wishes, and then if not, then he gets 5 more wishes added on to his wish that he already has. I don't know what you expected, but I absolutely expected Junghan to win one way or another. In this case, 12 dudes do happen to fail so miserably that Junghan doesn't even have to cheat.
민규야. 나와. 도겸이. 뭐해? 뭐 하는 거야? 뭐 하는 거야?
야 웃기다고 했어. 웃기다고.
아니 정말요. 나 진짜 발로 밟았어. 진짜 감동이죠.
Finally, they play a quick couple rounds of red light, green light, and a game where they toss items into a square. They make bets for these games where the members who lose will have to dress up in some silly way for the next episode. Mingyu, Hoshi, and Jun are the 3 members who lose the bet. And this is why I believe that they lumped these 4 episodes together, because 17 Secret Santa starts right away, partway through 17 Playground, and we see the members who lost the bet in all of their Christmas reindeer glory. We then get the concept of 17 Secret Santa explained to us. There will be 6 white Santas and 5 black Santas. The white Santas have to carry out a secret sweet task, and the black Santas have to carry out a secret evil task. Please show that clip to your friends without any context, I really dare you. Woozi is the main character for this episode, and his job is to figure out who he thinks is a white Santa or a black Santa by the end of the episode. The number of people he guesses right is the number of presents he gets to choose from a big pile of presents. He does a pretty good job, but he does end up ensuring that all members are given a gift. The spirit of 17. The most important moment from this episode is at the end when all the members are opening their gifts. It turns out that all gifts are pretty much gag gifts except for one, which is good. The boys open boxes to find bubble wrap, one slipper, a preservative, amongst other useless items. The grand prize is an iPad, and Minghao is the lucky player who gets the gift. Within a second, though, Jonghan swoops in, announcing that he'll be using one of his wishes. I'm not kidding.
기분 좋아. 오케이, 저는 여기에서 수험권을 쓰도록 하겠습니다. 제가 그냥 받아가지 못하겠고 정말? 제 거랑 교환하는
If I were Minghao, I would have absolutely iced Jonghan out for weeks. Like, no contact. Don't look at me. Don't talk to me. Like, Minghao's a better person than I am. But Jonghan does end up feeling bad, and the other members kind of discuss it, and they decide that he should use 4 wishes and not just one, so he's down to 1 wish as a result. This episode is essentially just a unseen clip show that highlights some of the best unreleased clips from the TTT camping episodes. This includes a never seen before segment where the members play Mafia, and it instantly becomes a fan favorite. Mafia is a game that lots of K-pop groups play, but the boys drinking and just kind of being themselves ratchet the KS up to 11.
아니 봐봐.
형은 이 말을 믿으면 5년 안에 사기 당한다. 그러니까 너는 그만큼 순수하고 무해하다. 너는 혼자 사랑하지 못한다. 내가 영철인데 얘가 자꾸 연기를 하는 거야. 그래서 와, 쟤 연기하네. 이거 봤지? 계속 지켜봤지. 근데 내가 마피아면 나 보이잖아. 내가 마피아인 거는. 지금 보여.
And it's very clear that this segment causes a light bulb to go off in the producers' heads, as you'll see in season 2. So please put a pin in that as well. I think there's 3 pins at this point, and I'm gonna be real with you. I'm written this all out, and I don't know if I remove them all. So I'm so sorry. Just like pin in left and right. You can watch this episode if you don't want to watch all 3 TTT episodes, but are kind of interested in the concept of the episode. It's definitely a big filler episode energy, but it's worth a watch. We have reached the 2019 season finale. The basic premise of this episode is getting the members to come up with more ideas for the next season of Going 17, much like their first official episode, presenting the new employees of Going Entertainment. It's such a long title. They stage it in a half-committed roleplay style where they are pretending to be the members of a company.
신입사원이 왜 저러는 거야?
아니 웃어도 안 돼. 아니 부장님, 사장님.
한방쳐.
아니 그게 아니라 사장님이 이렇게 적극적으로 하시는 모습이 너무 그냥 보고 좋고 그래서 자연스럽게 웃음이 나오는 거 가지고 왜 그러세요 사장님?
알겠습니다. 소원권 쓸 뻔했어요.
Jonghan announces the new format for season 2020, Monthly 17, which entails members being assigned a specific month from January 2020 to January 2021. Something to note is that they start to count up all the unfulfilled wishes they were promised by the staff members throughout the season, which once again we will get back to wishes at some point. We also learned that if you turn on Hoshi's Siri, he may never be able to use his phone again.
아까 우리가 할 때
시리야
주제가 뭐니?
내가 우리가 할 때 시리야 이주가 뭐니?
그래서 주제가 뭐죠, 건석이 씨?
네 일단 주제가 어떻게 끄는지 모르죠.
I think he switched to Android at some point, and I'm glad because I was truly worried for him. Like, oh my god. He was so concerned. It was just like, what do I do? On top of the group meeting aspect, they insert interview clips of each member talking about which content they would like to do in the next season and which content they would like to avoid. If you watch this after seeing any 2020 episodes, you'll recognize the ideas they end up choosing right away. I'm personally offended that they didn't go with Sungkwan's genius idea to bring on male idol friends for an episode. He's legitimately a variety show genius, and the fact that we're just ignoring that genius is like really bold of us. But I'm really holding out that they will eventually do this? I'm sure any day now. The true point of this episode is to get people excited for 2020, and it worked, baby. Let's go. To summarize, in this season, they pulled together a team to help film and brand the show. They tried concepts and figured out the importance of structure and not having too much or too little of it. They realized the importance of 17's input, and the members started to become more comfortable in variety show environments. We saw the development of their variety personalities and an editing style be implemented. So you're probably thinking, wouldn't the 2020 season just be the same? And no, there are two big reasons why. So no cliffhangers here. Before I get into the season itself, it is important for me to talk about those two big reasons that the show continued to soar in 2020. Despite Going 17 being an entity all on its own, a big change took place for 17, the group, and their label Pledis Entertainment in 2020 that absolutely had an effect on Going 17. Big Hit, the agency most known for producing the K-pop group BTS, became the largest shareholder of Pledis Entertainment's shares in May 2020. I know nothing about shares or stocks, but I did read those facts aloud, so it is true. Although the series was definitely originally allocated a bigger budget for 2020 to begin with, I'm sure, the budget definitely increased when Big Hit, now known as Hybe Labels, injected more money into the series and 17 as a whole. Before 2020, 17 had started to climb in popularity, and the success of their variety show's first season definitely proves that. It's not hard to draw conclusions that Big Hit took notice of this when they acquired Pledis and made it their plan to help increase the viewership and scope of Going 17. I couldn't find any record online of the show's budget, so I don't know the exact numbers, but you'll see as the 2020 season progresses, the sets, locations, props, and filming style all become more elaborate. There is one other big reason that season 2020 is vastly different from 2019. In case you'd all somehow forgot, in March 2020, most of the world went into a lockdown due to COVID-19. I'm sorry if you had managed to forget. This, of course, meant that 17 could not tour or do any live audience shows at the time. They, of course, still released music, but other than that, they had more time on their hands than usual. It's clear from the number of episodes that this season has in total that Going 17 had become a big part of how they stayed connected to their fans and kept busy. The increased budget, extra time, plus the formula they perfected during season 2019 created the perfect equation. Season 2020 has some of the most iconic episodes of the entire series, spawning 5 more concepts that then become series regulars. Going 17 season 2020 aired from January 27th, 2020 to April 7th, 2021, and ended with a total of 48 episodes, if you count the Going 17 Awards episode. That is more than double the number of episodes created for season 2019. Despite the members working hard to film an opening sequence for the show, the seasons start to become recognizable by their intros. So here is the season 2020 intro. If you don't sing the Going 17 intro song after hearing it, I can't relate to you. Like, it's just like, I'm like a parrot. I hear it, and I'm relating. One last tidbit of information is this season they started offering Spanish subtitles on the official videos as well, moving the number of languages offered up to 4. For this season, I'm not going to go in depth into every episode because, like I said, the formula is now set, and there isn't much that changes from episode to episode, but I'll speak about 13 episodes that were ranked fan favorites in the Going 17 Awards episode, and the common themes that might appear in those episodes. It is important to note that this season does follow the monthly 17 calendar that they created in the season finale of 2019. I won't be touching on every episode because 48 episodes, once again, is a lot, and not every episode created by the members made it into that top 13, but I will quickly mention each member's idea in the month that they were given. January is DK. His episode is Mystery Mystery, where they taste food in strange and different ways. February is Sungkwan. Boo Sungkwan's Past Life Destiny is the episode, and I will be discussing it later. March is Hoshi, and his episode is Insomnia Zero, which I will also be discussing. April is June's episode, 17 Escape Room, which simply put is the members being broken up into groups and trying to get out of an escape room first. May is Wonu, it's Human Chess, exactly as the name describes. June is Jonghan Four-Wheeled Rider, which will be discussed shortly as well. July is The Eight. His episode is The Eight in the 12 Shadows. This episode is one of my personal favorites of all time. It's where the members take turns having a leader, and all the other members have to copy the actions and follow that member around the room. It's super funny. August is Vernon. Christmas in August, where they dress up in Santa suits and play video games. Honestly, his mind, I don't know. He's just different. September is Woozy, Bad Clue. I will be discussing that one also. October is Dino, Bungee Jump. This is also one of my favorite episodes of all time. The members play games and the losers must bungee jump. There is a moment in this episode that is so sweet that I cry every single time. Honestly, please watch. November is Joshua, Carnival. This is definitely going to be discussed. December is Scoops, Going versus 17, which is an episode where the members of 17 compete against the members of the Going 17 production team. January is Mingyu. It's called Going, and I will also be discussing it. So that's that. Now on to the top 13. This episode was the winner of the #1 spot by a long shot, coming in at a score of 19.5%, with the second favorite episode rating 8.8% amongst fans. Currently, at the time of recording this, the two parts of this episode have a combined number of 18.9 million views in total. And more importantly, this episode is my personal favorite. I figured I'd just tell you because none of you were asking, so. But seriously, this episode is probably in most Carrot's top 10 favorite Going 17 episodes, because just like previous TTT episodes, the boys go to a remote location to bond. This season, though, the concept is hyper-realism. So basically, they're told to just be themselves and act as if they are on vacation together. The production crew sets up cameras throughout the house and cars that they rented and film the members at a distance to achieve this feeling of being a fly on the wall. As well, the members get really into it. They get incredibly drunk together, and it leads to some of the most iconic moments of this entire series. If I were to list all my favorite moments of this episode, I would end up just putting every second of both parts in, and that would be both stupid, and I would also probably get a super copyright claim, just like immediate delete of my channel or something. So here are a few moments that I love.
호시 형 좀 어떻게 해줘라. 얘 계속 뽀뽀한다. 뽀뽀해. 야 승관아 감별해라 얘. 정신 차려. 진짜 알고 싶지 않아. 어디까지 갔어? 감별하는 거야. 어디까지 갔어? 저 왔다리 갔다리 해 지금. 왔다리 갔다리. 나 봉사? 나리 봉사? 노래 불러주고 있어. 굽다뚜 뚜뚜를 좋아해요.
Technically, Don't Lie 2 is next on the list, but I do feel it's important to explain Don't Lie first in order to explain how iconic this series becomes. This is, of course, if you've never seen the show before. If you have, you obviously know. Don't Lie is that bitch. Don't Lie is the 8th place fan favorite episode, which to me tells you how many great episodes there are in the 2020 season, because Don't Lie is incredible. Currently, these episodes have 10 million views combined. The concept of Don't Lie is a mix of the game's mafia and a treasure hunt. There are 3 mafias, 1 policeman and 1 doctor, and the rest of the members are just citizens. The mafia members are told to hide a wad of cash somewhere on the premises before the game starts. The game has 3 rounds in which they will first search around for the money as a group. Then, after an allotted amount of time, they are called back to guess who they think the mafia is and vote members out. Basically, if the mafia members survive through the game, they win and get to keep the money. If the citizens win, they get to keep the money, or if they find the money before the game ends, I think they can hide it somewhere else and then keep the money. Now, remember that pin I placed all the way back in the first TTT episode? We're removing that pin right now. This episode is absolutely a direct result of the producers watching the members play Mafia together. The level of enthusiasm and energy these 13 boys put into this game is infectious, and I felt tense the entire time, trying to figure out how it was going to end.
승관이.
I don't want to spoil too much for those who haven't watched this episode, so do please skip to this timestamp if you want to avoid any or all spoilers. Have you skipped? Okay. So Hoshi manages to convince the members of something when they all pretty much have him cornered, and he proves to be the one to watch when it comes to Mafia. That's my boy.
하다가 와 이 형 잘한다 오늘 와 이 형 잘하네 이랬어 내가
오늘 분량 괜찮은데요? 그죠?
호시가 주인공이야
As a horror movie fan, this next episode is right up my alley. The tag is a simple episode suggested by June, who immediately regrets suggesting it as soon as they start.
네가 괜히 이런 컨텐츠 했네. 형 이거 하자 했어? 나 했지.
아 진짜 아이디어 잘 내는다니까.
Big rip. I honestly laughed so hard. He was like, why did I suggest this? And Dina was like, oh, that was you? Huh. The concept is there's a creepy abandoned factory that the members need to enter. Their goal is to go around collecting keys to escape said creepy factory. There are also actors dressed up in horror costumes roaming throughout the building, and they can tag you and get you out or kill you. An added element to the fun of this episode is that there are 3 sections of groups. One group is a group of 4, then there is a group of pairs that get to go in together, and then there's a group of single players that go in still technically as like pairs, but they aren't allowed to help each other out. This is where we see 2 wish coupons be used by Mingyu and then Sungkwan to switch positions with members to ensure that they are in a pair and don't have to enter alone. That is something I would 1000% do. The tag at the time of filming has over 20 million views combined, and we're all a bunch of sadists apparently who enjoy seeing 17 squeal in fear. I said we, didn't I? Well, that is because despite the absolute fear in all the members' voices, the producers get that good idea tingle after this episode, and the high number of views probably contributes to it as well. This episode, plus Bad Clue, which I will be discussing next, definitely inspire a later episode. We can just put a pin in that. I'm just putting pins. Anyway, this episode is truly funny and cracked me up. It's worth a watch for sure.
안될 것 같은데
빡세네.
역시 영화는 영화였다
몰랐어 진짜.
영화는 영화.
역시 영화는 영화.
But the real question is, did Hoshi and Wano see a real ghost? Because I legitimately got chills watching that end clip. I'll include a clip here.
이거 있다. 아유 칼 막혀서 이렇게 뭐하면 그렇게 나 시간 됐는데 진짜.
Like, truthfully, comment below, have Wanwoo or Hoshi ever talked about this past this point? Because I want to know. Who was messing with who? Were they messing with us? Bad Clue is Woozy's idea, and it is the September issue of the monthly Going 17 calendar. The members play different characters surrounding a chairman of a company, and they are gathering for a party. The chairman never arrives though, and within 7 minutes, a voice announces over a loudspeaker that 12 members are going to die. In order to survive, the 12 people must solve the mystery of the chairman's whereabouts and find the murderer. It's essentially like the board game Clue. This episode is vastly different from past episodes though, as they aren't loosely role-playing, but actually acting and reacting as characters with backstories and motives. It seems as if it's mostly improvised, but with a script outline to follow, letting the members know the important story beats and background information on their characters so they can act accordingly. When a member dies and is taken out of the game, they are put into another room where they can continue to watch the action that is going on and make comments on that as well. Unlike usual, there is very little interaction or acknowledgement of the cameras, and the editing is less to add humor to the show, but more instead to move the story along. The sets are incredibly elaborate, along with the costumes, showcasing that larger budget I mentioned earlier. This is definitely the most serious I've seen the members in a Going 17 episode, but they do still manage to break character from time to time.
나라는 왜 초면인 거죠? 초면일 수밖에 없죠. 안 봤어요. 저기요, 우리 회사 사장님입니다. 이 친구는 부사장이고요. 그렇습니다.
I will give another quick timestamp here for if you want to skip any potential spoilers coming up for this episode. Okay. I will give a massive kudos to Mingyu in this episode because he really does sell it near the end. As this is a mystery, I won't exactly spoil the ending and tell you who the culprit is, but of course Dino does die first.
지금은
검사가
검사가 죽었습니다.
진짜로? 디노.
Like it's always Dino. As soon as they were like, the prosecutor died, I was like, oh, god damn it. And don't worry, despite the fact that Sungkwan is absent due to another schedule, he does appear in the episode, so stay tuned to the end if you are a true Sungkwan fan. Have you ever fallen asleep at a sleepover and hear someone talking about you and then you listen into the conversation to the point that you get heated but you can't really say anything or else they will know that you've just been eavesdropping the whole time? No? Just me? Anyway, that is essentially what Insomnia Zero is about. The members take turns laying down on a mattress with a heart rate monitor on and pretend to sleep while the members talk about them and try to make them laugh.
그러니까 주시라고 가서 주웠어? 가서 주웠어?
The person with the lowest heart rate per round gets to leave early until there's just a few people left standing. In this episode, we get Wanu's iconic line.
Tasty.
And that alone is why this episode has 12.9 million views combined. 12.9. Imagine if it had 12, not even 13 views. But truthfully, there's nothing funnier than watching someone have to pretend to sleep while their best friends slander them openly. So I love the Insomnia Zero series. Four-Wheeled Rider comes in at 6th place and has 8.6 million views combined at the time of filming. This episode is Jung Hun's idea and is the June 17 monthly contribution. In this episode, they play what is essentially a real-life version of Mario Kart or Kart Rider, but without calling it that for copyright reasons, I assume. The members are broken up into teams, and they do 2 types of races. One race is focused on finishing the track the quickest, and the other race has items that they can pick up that will either help or hinder their efforts. The losing team is tasked with washing their manager's car.
가야 되는데 이제.
죄송합니다. 좀만 더 기다려주세요. 바로 끝납니다.
네, 그 안쪽에 제가 흘린 게 있어가지고 깨끗이 닦아주세요.
아, 네. 내부 청소는 돈 더 내야 됩니다.
It's a super easy concept to follow along with, and it leads to some pretty hilarious moments, such as DK picking up a booster card and Hoshi pushing him over accidentally. And Minghao calling out Jung-hun for being a huge cheater.
아 사기 쳐도 돼?
어떻게 사기칠 건데?
말 안 해도 사기 치잖아. 형 인생 왜 이렇게 사기 치는 거야?
Someone had to say it. Minghao's realer than all of us. I think he was like getting his revenge moment for all the way back in that 17 Secret Santa. He's like, you're a cheater! Okay, who's more mean, Sungkwan or Simon Cowell? Well, in this episode we certainly find out it's Sungkwan, obviously. This episode is improv-based and centers around an audition for an entertainment company. Sungkwan, S-Coups, and Jung-han play 3 judges, and the rest of the members are young hopefuls showcasing their talent. I'm not going to lie, I was incredibly nervous to watch this episode at first because my dad is a comedian and improv comedy is not super easy, so if it's bad, it's really bad. But they added a fun element to this episode, which is if they laugh during someone's audition, this massage device they're wearing on their shoulders will go off and make their muscles twitch. It killed me. Poor S-Scoops, man. He was going off.
아 생활을 뮤지컬로 한다고 적혀있네요.
That combined with the ridiculous energy the members bring to the scenes made this episode one of my favorites. I particularly loved Hoshi's really incredible fast rap.
죄송한데 뭐 어디 뭐 사주 받으셨어요? 왜 이렇게 좋게 보시는 거예요?
저는 아까 그 누구보다에서 완전히 빠졌기 때문에.
Me and Jung-hun both fell in love with him that day. Also, Sungkwan's world-class comedy is on display as per usual in this episode.
14살이라고 하기엔 좀 중후하네요. 네, 인생 2회차인 줄 알았어요.
It all culminates in a shocking twist that the winner is...
없습니다.
So, as I mentioned, this episode came in second on the fan favorite list. This episode has a combined view count of over 12.8 million views and follows the same concept as the first, don't lie. The only major change is that they introduced a character called the Broker that is given a hint towards where the money is hidden, and they can re-hide that money in a different location, essentially stealing from both the citizens and the mafia. The broker must collaborate with 2 citizens, though, to successfully win the money. Something I did notice when watching this episode with my sister over the holiday break was that they introduced a concept that didn't seem to go over very well and that was scrapped before the next iteration of Don't Lie, and that is the introduction of hidden trinkets. For this episode, it was mini handcuffs. The general idea was that citizens would find these handcuffs and collect them. To help prove their innocence, they could bring them to the group and give them to whoever asked for them. It didn't really add much to the entertainment value of this episode and was actually a little bit confusing. I think that this was an example of them trying something different but accidentally adding a little bit too much. This was only their second season though, after all, so it does make sense that there was still some tweaking going on. The other noticeable change to the second Don't Lie episode is that the 13 members are now dressed in suits and are walking around a set stage to look like a police office. This adds to the overall ambiance of the episode. Hoshi's mafia game skills do not disappoint, and he becomes another viral meme in this episode as well.
한 번 했어. 한 번. 얘도 한 번 했어. 야, 알지? 한 번, 두 번. 한 번, 두 번, 두 번. 한 번 하면
정신 부쩍 차려.
한 번 하면 나도 몰랐어. 네가 노래 모른다고? 이 게임에 노래 모른다고?
Carnival is the first and only major flop on the behalf of the production team, and 17 does not let them forget it. It seems the original episode idea that Joshua had was like a game of paintball in an abandoned warehouse area. After it was filmed though, the laws for Korean entertainment changed, specifically around guns that look like BB guns and not being able to show them in Korean media anymore. So this was likely the reason that the original episode could not air, although that is just speculation, and it also could have been a number of other things such as lost or corrupted footage. There has never been any confirmation as to which of those issues is the reason, but it's interesting to note that's why this happened. The show must go on though, so they had to film the spot with something else. They couldn't figure out what to do in such a short time frame, considering they had to film and edit quickly. So they brought the members to a rest stop and put down some chairs. I am not kidding, it's literally just chairs and SUV in the pitch black night. This episode is widely loved though, mainly because the members seem to be having a fun time trying to come up with enough content to create an episode on the spot. They do mime skits, dance to some K-pop songs, attempt end-line poems, and I mean attempt, flip a small table while screaming out their frustrations, and compliment each other. It's a bit of a whirlwind of an episode with quite a few memorable moments.
딱 나가려고 하는데 신발이 없어졌어. 신발이 없어졌어. 어떻게 하지? 너무 날씨가 좋아. 걸어갔어. 걸어가. 계속 가. 잘 가.
잘 가.
잠깐만 오늘. 형. 정한 형한테 걸어가. 야, 너무 좋다. 데리고 와, 빨리 데리고 와.
왜 두 개 오차래? 왜?
야, 나도 빨리 끝내줘. 데리고 와서 돌아온 곳이 서커스장인 거야. 저 둘만을 위한 편을 준비를 해주셨대. 그래서 낭만 있게 서로를 안으면서 바라봐. 저 춤. 도겸아, 링 한번 만들어줘. 호랑이 뛰어갈게.
망했다. 가디건.
하나, 둘, 셋. 아, 가을이 왔어요. 하나, 둘, 셋. 디. 딘딘드르드르딘딘드르드르딘딘.
And honestly, Joshua, you were iconic as a host. Do not let anyone tell you otherwise.
카니발에서 나온 남자.
I ride for Joshua. We don't run the city, the rats do. In this episode, Wonu, Hoshi, Jun, and Woozi, the 4 members born in 1996, the year of the rat, pretend to be rats and hide around a large property full of old warehouses. Why was I saying that so weird? The rest of the members are mousebusters and need to run around finding said rats. Yes, they're called mousebusters even though they're chasing rats. Mice and rats are different, let's get that straight. They have to chase them around with a water gun filled with paint and get their stomach completely covered in paint to catch them. The rats have special skills that put the mousebusters at a huge disadvantage. The mousebusters honestly never had a chance, and they knew it.
너희 지금 곧 죽어. 왜? 그게 비밀이야. It's my secret.
형,
원우 형이 우리 곧 있으면 다 죽는데.
야 이제 내가 못 뛰어다니겠어.
죽여. 야, 너희 진짜 한 시간 뒤에 다 죽는다니까?
야 그냥 죽을래.
죽을래?
But seriously, did anyone know that Wonu could run that fast? He was giving bittersweet music video energy.
와, 진짜 빨라. 와. 왜 이렇게 빨라? 와.
In the end, the losing party is subjected to being hit with flower bombs.
동서남북이야.
I honestly was thinking about this the other day, and the idea of having to wash that out, because like it would create a paste. So I wonder how long it took DK to like get that flour out of his hair. Please, for the love of God, do not watch this episode if you're single. I have never felt so bitter in my entire life. The concept of this episode is simple, and it's clearly Sungkwan's idea. Sungkwan is a comedic genius and definitely has a fascination with old Korean variety shows, which this episode is modeled after. Sungkwan asks the boys to find their true love amongst the members and pair up together. They take turns sitting in a seat, and they turn around to see if they have any suitors that have come forward for them.
한번 위해서
이거 최대한인 것 같아.
돌아봐 주세요.
They then play a bunch of games together as pairs, such as Limbo and Twister, and halfway through, Sungkwan asks them if they would like to switch partners or not. It is dramatic, chaotic, and adorable.
근데 서로에게 좀 서운했거나 그런 거 있나요? 서운했던 건 없어요.
저는 그냥 감동이었어요.
네, 석순덕이 좀 오래 갔으면 좋겠습니다. 그럼 서로 손을 놔주시고 하나 둘 셋 하면 말씀해 주세요. 하나 둘 셋. 민규. 너 나쁜 놈다며. 너 아까 저기서 나쁜.
I'd say the best part of the episode for me, though, is Joshua's commitment to an acting scene they had to do.
저 감자탕 먹었어요.
밥 먹을래? 나랑 집에 갈래? 앉아. 거기 고장났어. 아니 그게 아니라. 거기 고장났어. 아니 그게 아니라. 밥 먹으려고.
And the Oscar goes to Hong Ji-soo. Truly, this is one of my favorite episodes. I watch it almost weekly, and I would love it if it made a comeback in season 2023. I even once saw someone mention that they would love to have the original pairs come back as well, and I would also like that because Suksoon. Also, Minguzi. I like Minguzi.
너는 민규지. 아, 둘이 너무 잘 어울려요. 너는 민규지.
Walk, fashion baby. It's photo shoot time! This episode is Mingyu's idea, and it's very cute. The members come together to create their own Going magazine. They style outfits. Mingyu, for the most part, takes the photos, and they interview one another for an online and print magazine. It's a very laid-back episode, almost more behind-the-scenes style of a magazine shoot, but with DK and Sungkwan DJing very loudly in the background. This is the final episode of the season before their Going 17 awards show finale. Another thing to note is that, like I mentioned, they actually did print versions of this magazine. There is both a black version and a white version, and they all came with their own set of photo cards. I wanted to buy one of these magazines for this video, but the only one that I could find online, because it's not officially being printed anymore, so I looked on eBay, and the only one I could find on eBay for under $100 was a black version, and the photo cards are just not as cute for that version. I'm not gonna lie about it. So I was looking for the white version, and the white version is being sold for like $149 plus on eBay. I mean, I love 17, and I would love to have those photo cards and that magazine, but I cannot justify $149 without shipping. I can't even read Korean. But if anyone would like to send me a version or like create a GoFundMe for me, that would be pretty cool. I wouldn't mind that. If you'd like to do that, you can do that, but it's just if you'd like. No one's forcing you. They talking nonsense. They talking about living with a giant rat for a year or living as a giant rat for a year. I think those are Sabrina Carpenter's original lyrics, to be honest. Rats. Rat. So fun to say rat. Backed by popular demand, Debate Night returns for a second time. It is the exact same concept as the first Debate Night. They wear suits, Wonu moderates, and the members talk at length about nonsense topics. And there are no winners or losers unless you count Hoshi.
맞습니다. 그만큼 타임슬립이 얼마나 좋은 거예요.
되돌릴 수 없기 때문에 매 순간
그쵸.
열심히 해야 되고 매
그쵸.
순간 확실히
그렇지만
살아야 되고
사람이 실수를 할 수 있지 않습니까? 그 실수를 받아들일 줄도
받아들이고
알아요.
자신
실수를 통해서 그렇게 되돌리고 세우면서 혼자 살아. 실수로
아니 그 와중에 같은 팀끼리 너무 안 맞아요. 쟤는 얘기하고 있다고 나 얘기하고 있다고 아니요 쟤는 이상한 소리 하고 있고
정말 중요하게
Okay, so it's time to remove a pin. I had mentioned that in The Secret Life of Going Sevong, the members had explicitly brought up their wishes and how many they had accrued during the year. Now, I did mention here a couple times in which members had used their wishes to get out of certain scenarios, but the biggest wish use takes place in the episode called Human Chess. Junghoon and Hoshi are a part of the losing team that would have to serve the winning team lunch in another episode, but Junghoon and Hoshi decide to use their wishes to get out of that punishment and join the winning team. This episode is called Pie in the Sky, if you would like to see that hilarious conclusion. It is important to note that wishes don't continue to be as important of a factor moving forward. Although wish coupons are definitely mentioned as prizes a couple times in the next season, they never have that same relevancy as they do in previous seasons. Let's summarize. The 2020 season was massive in more than one way, both in the number of episodes aired and how successful it became during that time period. Due to the pandemic, they threw everything in the kitchen sink at the show, and it definitely paid off. The larger budget increased the scope of what they could do, including but not limited to renting out massive properties, stepping up their game with filming, allowing them to buy or rent infrared cameras and drones, and by the end of the season, allowing them to create practical sets and wear elaborate costumes. This season also finalized what the perfect template for a Going 17 season would look like. They start with the members coming up with ideas, then they fill the season with those ideas, and then finally they take a look back at the year in some sort of review format. It's very simple, but it works. With a light framework and 17's natural charm and entertainment skills, the show could truly do no wrong. I wanted to try and summarize what I thought the top episodes of the season had in common, but when I was looking back at them, it wasn't really one or even two things. Some episodes were competition-based, some revolved around the members bonding, some made you think, others were stupid, chaotic fun, and some of them were acting-based. So the only common denominator I could find was 17. I believe that they are just that secret ingredient that makes the show popular and entertaining to watch, even if you weren't a fan of them as musicians. In fact, the number of people who became Going 17 fans grew so large over this season that they were given their own fan base name, which is Cubics. As far as I can tell, no other idol group has a variety show so popular that it has its own separate group of fans, and that speaks to how impressive 17 are at entertaining. You don't need to know anything about them or their music to enjoy their variety show. Okay, so you might think that is it. They really did it. They have their own fan base. What else can Going 17 achieve? And that's a stupid question. Why would you ask that? I'm kidding. But the answer is they can achieve so much more. Now, I'm going to say this right off the bat because some K-pop fans see the world through stark black and white with no gray area. So I chose the word stall for this section precisely because I do not think that Going 17 has fallen in any sense of the word. The quality has not lessened and the boys have not noticeably lost energy or excitement for the show. I chose stall because I think it accurately depicts what happened to the show by the end of season 2021-2022. I love this show, and even though there are definitely things that I think they could do to change it or things that I want to see them get back to, it doesn't mean that I don't enjoy the content as it is right now. I'm truly just happy that they've continued to make the show despite how busy they've become. Let's get back to the third official season of Going 17 though. After the ridiculously successful year that Going 17 had in 2020, it should be no surprise that it reached new and exciting heights in 2021, 2022. You might notice that I'm saying 2021, 2022 together, and that is because the season is split up into two parts, 2021 being part 1 and 2022 being part 2, obviously. That's how time works. Starting in April 2021 and ending in September 2022, this season contains 65 episodes, including the Going 17 special collab episode. They changed the opening sequence once again to denote the change of seasons, so here is the season 2021-2022 opening sequence. This season they offered 4 more languages for subtitles: Indonesian, Hindi, Vietnamese, and Thai, equaling a total of 8 subtitle options now. To me, the number of languages offered as subtitles absolutely corresponds to the growing popularity of each season. As I mentioned in the 2020 summary, the show had created a format that worked. Once again, the members would gather together to discuss what concepts they want to try throughout the season, and then at the end, they would reminisce on that past season in some way. Now, part 1 of the season absolutely follows that format perfectly, but part 2 doesn't. And you might be thinking, well, that's because they aren't individual seasons, they're parts of one season, which is true. That is how they have been marketing it. But due to what I believe is a lack of planning meeting unforeseen circumstances, the second part of the season feels somewhat like an afterthought. Let's talk about part 1 first. As I mentioned, the first episode of part 1 of the season aired on April 14th, 2021. Ad-lib Going Company is similar to presenting the new employees of Going Entertainment and The Secret Life of Going Sevong. The members half-heartedly roleplay as employees of an entertainment company, coming up with new ideas for their show. Throughout the season, we get a Don't Lie 3, Insomnia 02, Debate Night 3, and the third official TTT water sports version. And it all ends with Going 17 special Going commentary, where the members gather together to watch moments from the past season. That is the format of a Going 17 season. We get fan favorite episodes sprinkled in amongst the new ideas from their planning sessions, a TTT episode, and then finally a wrap-up episode. Part 1 is its own self-contained season. Before I go on to talk about part 2 and the structure of it, I do need to mention a couple other important things that contribute to what made part 1 what it is. First of all, you might recall that the world was still suffering from the COVID-19 pandemic, and most countries still had preventative measures in place. This meant another year that 17 couldn't tour or meet their fans in person. That would start to change at the end of 2021, but a lot of musicians didn't start announcing tours until the beginning of 2022. Therefore, Going 17 was still one of the only ways that 17 could safely create new content for their fans, and was therefore a priority. This season is where we start to see paid sponsors appear in Going 17 episodes as well. Whether these were motivated by 17's own idea to do an Ad Genius 17 episode where they give out free product placement to entice sponsorships, or just by coincidence and a rise in the show's popularity, we'll never know.
그 정한 배우님이 오늘 광고 촬영 있으신데 빨간 머리 하셨는데 눈썹이 염색이 안 돼가지고.
아 지금 뭐 하는 거야? 눈썹 염색 준비도 안 돼 있고.
자, 승환 씨, 이거면은 립도 되고 눈썹 염색도 다 돼요. 아 정말요? 이거 가서 들으면 될까요? 그럼요. 간다, 진짜로?
아 근데 이거 착색되는 거 아닌가?
아닙니다, 100% 촬영 제품으로.
진짜 닦이는 거 맞아?
네, 진짜 발라, 진짜. 야야야야.
아 이거 느낌도 아주 좋구만.
사실 감독님 이제 좀 톤이 맞나요?
We know, it was definitely the latter. The episode Treasure Island, The 13 Raiders Part 1 and 2 aired on the channel JTBC2 and a 10-week special Hybe Labels programming block. This is huge because, as you might remember, I mentioned before that previously idols depended on cable networks to choose them and create a show for them. Idols were at the whims of these networks. But in this case, Going 17 is self-made by the group and their production team, and they were asked to air their new episodes on a cable network. It was coming full circle. We did a 360, 180, 180, whatever. We came full circle. Part 2 of season 2021-2022 aired its first episode on February 9th, 2022, and aired its final official episode on September 22nd, 2022. The first episode was called How to Eat Rice the Perfect Way, and it included members showing off their idea of how best to consume rice, and it was scored by the members and the Going 17 staff. The final official episode was called Bad Clue 2 and is the second iteration of the popular episode from 2020. Both of these episodes are super fun in their own way, but as you can tell, it does not follow that format that I just had laid out. There was no TTT in this part of the season. 3 fan favorite episodes were brought back, but there was no Don't Lie 4, which had become sort of a staple episode of the series. They didn't have an episode talking about the new ideas for this part of the season, and there was no episode to end the season with any finality. In fact, on September 28th, 2022, the official 17 Twitter account put out a tweet letting the fans know that there would not be any new episodes of Going 17 airing for the foreseeable future. Likely that was because they weren't sure when they'd be able to film and edit a new episode. But on Wednesday, December 28th, after I had finished scripting this video, of course, a winter special episode of Going 17 dropped unexpectedly. The accompanying tweet from 17's official Twitter account stated that these episodes were their winter break special, and we should expect new episodes of Going 17 in 2023. There was no exact date given, but I have seen people mention on Twitter that we'll see its return in March of 2023. The I Don't Know, I Know winter special episodes are incredibly fun and harken back to their Best Friends episode and their 17 Playground episode. I honestly laughed out loud numerous times watching this episode. I loved it a lot. Most importantly, when I was scripting this episode had gained 1.6 million views in 2 days, and it was the first ever Going 17 episode to trend worldwide. I think trend first worldwide. Okay, back to the recap. The final episode of season 2021-2022, whether you count that as Bad Clue 2 or the winter special, makes the season feel somewhat unfinished, and it's even weirder when part 1 feels like a season in itself, because then part 2 doesn't really feel like anything. It's just a bunch of random episodes airing in a random order. Now, it would be unfair of me not to mention that previously, season 2020 ended in April 2021 after a long break between episodes due to a member going through a stressful scandal. This proves that it is not impossible for Going 17 season 2021-2022 to end officially sometime in early 2023 before the new season starts to air. We will just have to wait and see if this winter episode is considered the final episode of that season or not. It would be also extremely unfair of me not to bring up how 2022 differed for 17 in a major way. Most artists started announcing tours again in 2022, and 17 was no exception. At a similar time, 17 announced their 4th full album and a North American tour that they were about to embark on in August 2022, starting in Vancouver, which I went to. Oh, did I mention that I went to their tour? Did I mention that I saw the Be the Sun tour in Vancouver? Did I mention it? I don't know if I mentioned it. I went to the Be the Sun tour. It was so good. Their 4th album dropped in May, and between then and now, they had shows in Korea, North America, and all across Asia. They released a repackaged version of their 4th album and dropped a Japanese EP. In September, they added tour dates to their Asian leg of their tour and announced that they would be doing one more show in LA before the end of 2022. And it was around this time when they announced that Going 17 would be taking an extended break. So it's not hard to see how part 2 of this season could have fallen to the wayside. Before I talk about this season's most popular episodes, I want to quickly talk about another moment of success that Going 17 had in 2022, and that was a collab episode with JJ of MMTG. MMTG is another famous Korean variety web show, one in which the host JJ interviews idols. She had interviewed 17 multiple times previously, and in 2021, when 17 released their 9th mini-album Attacca, they were interviewed once more. Sungkwan, member of 17 and variety show genius that I have mentioned like countless times throughout this video, mentioned that they should do a collab episode between the 2 shows. That small request culminated in a 3-episode stint across both channels and 8.7 million views total. I don't believe that this is the first ever crossover between a variety show and an idol variety show, but it definitely is the first time it happened because a member of an idol group came up with the idea themselves. So I think that's pretty iconic. This season does not have a handy dandy fan voted list to go off of, so I had to do math, and I hate math so much. I added up all the views per episode for the season, and I tried to take into account when the episode aired. So if it aired, almost 2 years ago versus if it aired 2 months ago. I am not a mathematician, even a little bit, so this will not be a perfect representation of the most popular episodes, and I acknowledge that, but it does give you an idea. I don't know if I've mentioned that Carrots and Cubics alike love seeing 17 get competitive, but they do. So this is what the concept of this episode is. Airing on May 12th with 10.6 million views at the time of filming, Let's Go 17 quickly became a fan favorite episode. It's one of mine. The boys split up into two teams, and first they have members run through the obstacle course alone and time them. Then they go through the obstacle course in pairs, and finally at the end, a chaotic group race. My particular favorite moment is the race between two of my favorite members, Hoshi and Sungkwan, who are a Tom and Jerry duo.
갑니다. 무슨 아이고 승관아. 아이고 승관아. 아 따라잡아야 돼요. 와우 제. 와우 제. 아이고 승관아. 야 승관이 상대도 안 되네. 와우 제. 승관 아이고 거기 밑으로 가면 안 돼요. 와. 멀어지네요. 아. 깃발을 받았습니다. 아 별것도 아니게. 줄까 말까 약 올리고 있어요. 야 재밌다. 참.
Here are another few good moments.
서로 뒤쳐주면 기다려주고 잡아주고 밀어주고 네 페어플레이 네 저희는 그렇게 가기로 했습니다.
야, 네. 과연 이 둘에게 페어플레이가 나올까라는 생각을 저는 감히 해봅니다만 한번 기대해 보겠습니다. 잡았어. 뭐죠? 사우나야? 밀어. 땅바닥 밀어. 땅바닥으로. 땅바닥으로. 치열합니다. 무궁아 진짜 뭐야?
왜?
생각해. 인간성 많아.
뭐야?
아니 내가 보면 내가 빨랐다. 그 순간 이렇게 밀었어. 그 정도 몸싸움 다 하는 거잖아요. 솔직히 저 스타트
In true Going 17 fashion, they continue to make the Don't Lie series more and more iconic. It always seems impossible, and yet every time I'm shocked. This time the members are in a hotel room and dressed in adorable little hotelier outfits. They add one more broker to the mix that gets hints about where the money is hidden in the hotel set, but other than that, the setup is the same. Unfortunately, the third installment of Don't Lie ends Hoshi's Mafia game reign. Yeah, as he's voted out within the first round.
잘하네.
목소리가 소용되었습니다.
맞아 역시 우리가
목표 달성했네.
버니쳐도
You can call that Mingyu's revenge if you know you know. The twist for this episode is M. Night Shyamalan level, and I will never get over it. As per one of Woozy's suggestions that the members do not let him forget, the members go to a rice field to plant rice for a day. That's not all they do though. They, in Going 17 fashion, make bets as well. So every 15 minutes, they stop planting rice and play a game of chance. Whoever wins that game gets to stop planting rice and go eat food instead. The winners also get to yell insults and tease the remaining members that are still in the fields.
야 나가고 싶다 야.
아니 빨리 나와서 같이 먹자.
도겸아, 너 여기 같이 심어질래?
도겸아 너 맞고 싶어?
나 진짜 웬만한 멤버들 안 얄미워하거든. 야 쟤는 진짜 너무 싫다.
형 근데 오늘 진짜 얄미워서.
아 그러니까 얄미울 수밖에 없어.
와 저 멘트까지.
In the end, there are just 3 sorry members that remain. They do get one last chance to bet the staff and get to leave the field as a trio. This is the first episode officially sponsored by a company, and it is by a red ginseng brand. They certainly do go all out to promote it.
이런 건 다른 게 아니야. 사랑은 내게 다른 게 아니고 도겸이가 주는 정관장이 다야. 야, 너는 왜 체험 삶의 현장 느낌이 나는 거냐?
어때 먹으니까 어때?
정말
쓰지. 달담해.
이게 바로 힘들고 감별할 때 먹는 홍삼정 정관장 에비차이. 그래서 이제까지 PPL이 안 들어왔구나 우리.
I'm surprised they continued to get promotions past this point, but they do. In case the title of this episode was not clear enough, for this TTT, the members of 17 take to the sea. They take to a lake, actually, but the members get to partake in a number of fun water activities. This episode has a whopping 17 million views across 3 episodes. The first episode alone has 6 million views at the time of filming. I understand why, too. The TTT episodes are great escapism media. I find myself smiling the entire time and laughing along with the members. It's nice as well because it truly feels as if the members are having fun, too.
열정과 불을 지배하는 Going Red. 심해의 깊이 속에서 어둠을 Going Navy. 너희들의 마음을 노란색으로 물들이겠어. Going Yellow. 너무 싫다. 너무 싫다. 형 화이트가 여기서 이제 나와야 되는. 형 이런 거 맞아. 맞춤도 좀 해. 나한테는 맞춤. 바람을 지배하는 Going 화이트. 빨리 형이 해줘야 출발해. 빨리. 빨리 해줄게. 바람을 지배하는 Going 화이트. 사진을 주면.
What do you get when you put host Sungkwan and classic party games together on an excellent set? An iconic addition to the Sungkwan Variety House saga. Okay, sorry if I did that wrong. I don't really understand the point of riddles, but as per Sungkwan's request, the episode mirrors that of an old variety show, classic Sungkwan. The members are split up into teams and compete to win a beef set. The set for this episode is bright and iconic. That high budget was really shining through on this one. They play 3 games per part of this episode, such as shouting and silence, a relay mission game, and one voice. It's the kind of stupid fun you used to get on old shows like Whose Line Is It Anyway? It's one of my favorite Going 17 episodes of all time. I keep saying that, but honestly, the ones here are just my favorites too.
다이어트. 들려. 다이어트. 라이언트. 라이언트. 라이언 허트. 몸짓 안 돼요. 라이언 하트. 다이너마이트? 영국이긴 하죠. 실패.
Now, this episode is probably the cutest episode of Going 17 to date. It's also incredibly popular with 16.1 million views. The members show up on a high school set in uniforms and roleplay being teenagers again for the day. They go through mini class scenarios, and when the teacher, aka Dino, who's playing 2 parts, leaves the room, the kids get to play nostalgic games such as Red Light, Green Light, table tennis, and Dangasu, which is a Korean childhood game. In between games, they also do little interviews where they ask the members which of the other teens in the class they like and who they'd want to sit next to in their next class. Once again, I could truly just include the entire episode for my favorite part, but I will refrain.
무궁화 꽃이 피었습니다. 와, 진짜 이거 어떡해? 안 보여. 무궁화 꽃이 피었습니다. 저 방금 뒤에 움직인 사람 누구야? 뒤에 움직인 사람 누구야? 김민규가? 2차 나 빨리. 진짜 나보다 키만 작았으면 진짜 큰일 났어. 진짜. 두번 나왔다.
Two baddies, one kitchen. Anyway, this episode is based around a one-off comment Woozi made during the filming of Planting Rice and Making Bets. He just continues to set the members up.
야 이거 말조심이니까 윤정한 최승철은 고생 프로젝트 한번 해야 된다. 말조심이니까. 그러니까 그냥 개고생 프로젝트 한번 해야 돼.
He mentioned that he wanted to see Junghan and S-Coups work hard for a day, so in this episode, Junghan and S-Coups pretend to be restaurant owners. They make lunch and dinner for the members as well as serve them and do the dishes. The episode is split into 3 parts, which is prepping the food, the lunch time, and dinner time. During the food prep episode, 3 members monitor Junghan and S-Coups as they work, popping in from time to time, making observations and to insult them, essentially.
기가 막히죠? 어때? 밥 괜찮죠?
풍미가 너무 올라오는데요? 에이.
Then the rest of the members show up role-playing food vloggers, filming reviews on the restaurants. At the end of the lunch segment, 2 members are chosen to be part-timers who come to help clean up the kitchen and help set up for dinner. It is always Mingyu because he cannot catch a break.
번호. 하나, 둘, 셋. 번호. 하나, 둘, 셋. 민규. 민규 일로 와. 어떻게 남명이다. 너 왜 움직였어?
The dinner hour is essentially them preparing and making dinner, and then the members coming back one more time to review the food. I think my favorite segment is watching S-Coups, Dino, and Woozy come up with the origin of certain foods on the spot. They are competent liars.
서로 김치를 갖고 이제 서로 그 분쟁이 일어났었어요. 이 김치를 가져갈까 저 김치를. 아, 그럴 수 있지. 그거를 딱 규칙적으로 만들기 위한 룰이 하나 있었어요. 그게 바로 찐콩을 하자. 그걸 선착순으로 먼저 찜한 사람이 가져가는 거예요. 먼저 온 사람이 나 저 김치찜 이래가지고 이제 그게 그 김치로 만든.
Almost 3 years after they first did their MBTI test, the members take them again, but this time letting the other members of the group answer the questions for them to see if they get the same results. They also do another type of personality test and bring in an expert to go over the results with them and explain them. Some of the members feel as if they are represented well, and others do not. It is quite a simple episode, and as mentioned by Sungkwan, it definitely is a nod to their first ever official Going 17 episode.
되게 이거 약간 우리 첫 그거 MBTI 검사할 때처럼 들어오네. 알면서 뭐 모른 척하면서 얘기하고 있어.
한번 짚어주는 찐 방송인의.
And it mirrors that in how simple the set is. I like how they flip the idea on its head though by allowing the other members to choose the answers for them. Kind of made me want to do that with my friends and family to see if I would get a different result. I am an ENFJ in case you were wondering. Ready or not, here they come. Not sure if you've heard this underground game called hide and seek. But seriously, the premise is very simple. The members are, as per usual, split up into 2 teams, which classically is a task in itself.
죄송해요 한 번만. 나 진짜 이거 아니야. 진짜 이거 아니야. 한시계랑 커피를 쏟게 정해졌어요 이미. 그래
아니면 그렇게 할래? 센서로 2명 가위바위보해서 뽑는 게 아니야.
끝났잖아요. 밸런스가 너무. 아 밸런스. 거기 끝났어. 일로 와봐. 끝났어. 야 우리 정말 못할 것 같아? 너무 못할 것 같아.
One at a time, one team will go hide objects in plain sight and then goes to a holding area. The next team then comes in and gets 10 minutes to try and figure out which objects are the secret objects and takes photos of those objects. Then they go hide somewhere in the premises. The first team then comes back and searches for the members. If a member is caught, they cannot use the photos that are on their phone. Members who are found are taken to a jail, which they can be broken out of by other members. The team with the most correct object photos in the end wins. It should come as no surprise to anyone that Jong Hun's team wins by cheating and then is subsequently punished in the next episode. Honestly, pretty iconic.
땀 먹었어? 땀 먹었어? 내 거 땀 먹고 그 카톡방 나가.
버텼어. 우리 작전 성공해. 이거는 약간 이거는 맞지 않아?
문자 보는 건
똑같은 거 안 된다. 이런 것도 괜찮아.
근데 죽은 사람 거는 못 써요.
네 그러네요. 아쉽네. 아 그렇구나.
So, as I mentioned previously, the Bad Clue 2 episodes were the last official 3 episodes of part 2 before the winter break special. Once again, they may wrap up this season later in 2023, but as it stands, these are the finale episodes. Like in season 2020, Bad Clue 2 is another acted out mystery episode. They included one more part to the series due to how popular the concept was the first time around. And I understand why it's so popular. The Bad Clue series is the only completely acted out story-driven episodes that we have outside of the next episode I'm going to talk about. It's so different from 17's usual style, and quite a few of the members have had experience in acting, such as Mingyu, June, DK, and Joshua, which allows them to showcase another talent. Since pretty much everyone died in the last iteration of the series, sorry if you didn't immediately click off my video to go watch Bad Clue 1, they introduce a whole new cast of characters and a new mystery to solve. The setup for this episode is much more modern than its predecessor, and the characters are far less intertwined this time around. The basic concept is that the mayor is receiving death threats, and his aide has called all the important members of the city to meet with an investigator so they can figure out who the culprit is. Unlike last time, they actually bring in an actor to play the mayor and help set the stage for the episode. I think it's a nice touch instead of this faceless chairman who never shows and was killed before the episode began the last time. There's this feeling of consequences of not figuring out who the criminal is, especially when the lights go out and the mayor is gone when they come back up. So the question is, can we trust Sherlock Do-Kim to solve the case?
그 살해 협박에 누가 했는지, 그 사람이 있는지 그런 의심들을 찾으러 오늘 왔습니다.
정말 믿음직스럽죠.
엘리트예요.
Obviously not, but this episode is still fun. It is slightly hard to follow at times, to the point where at the end the members all discuss the story and seem to need to be filled in on the episode they just filmed. I know I appreciated the play-by-play at the end. This is where it was confirmed to me that both by Clue episodes were kind of loosely scripted and acted as almost an interactive adventure for the members to play off of. Although these aren't my favorite episodes, personally, I do find the concept incredibly unique and well planned out. Of course, my boy Dino is done dirty again. He dies early on. This episode doesn't actually have that many combined views in the grand scheme of the season, but I just had to mention it because it's completely out of the norm for Going 17, and it was received incredibly well. It alternatively is titled A Going Series. The episode starts with someone being shot. We're not sure which person was shot or who did it, as the murderer is masked, and it's quite ominous. The next clip is from the POV of someone waking up in a dingy room after being knocked unconscious. It is revealed to be Dino and Hoshi. The members are paired off and all wake up in that same dingy, sketchy white room. They all encounter a row of beds filled with mannequins in them, but they all make different decisions where to go and what to do after that point. Their goal is to try and escape the factory they wake up in, and every decision that they make has a different consequence, such as letting a man free who's been tied up. If the members choose to trust him and let him go, he ends up betraying them later on and gets them caught by the unknown murderer. Every time a group goes through the factory and gets caught, the next two members wake up in that white room and are given Polaroid photos with hints on what not to do so they can move the story along and uncover more clues. Ego is a mix of reality and storytelling, and I do believe it is somewhat inspired by the success of Tag that took place in the second season. Remove that pin. Nailed it. Fans loved watching the members interact with scary situations, and the mystery of who the murderer was kept everyone on their toes the entire time. The inclusion of first-person view cameras on the members and the tense music really upped the quality of these episodes and helped bring a horror element. The ending was clearly acted out and scripted, but it brought the episode together and wrapped up the mystery elements that the members had encountered throughout. I honestly really loved this format, and I hope they experiment with it again in the future. I highly recommend this episode for anyone just getting into the series, and I personally watch it once a year around Halloween. The previous two seasons, I talked about how the show got its legs and became independent from 17, creating its own brand and fan base, which is an incredible feat for an idol variety show. The 2021-2022 season doesn't take away from any of that success, but it certainly is a reminder that no matter how big and independent Going 17 becomes, it is impossible to separate it from 17 the group. It's impossible not to take into account their idol schedule and priorities, which is what I think happened in the second half of this season. I believe that Going 17 staff got used to having 17 around and their show being a huge priority, and I believe that they had a schedule planned around 17's initial tour schedule. I'm going to state that they could have not predicted 17's success for their Face the Sun album and corresponding tour, so I do not blame them for having to pivot. I also do not blame 17 for prioritizing live performances after almost 3 years of not being able to see their fans. I do think fans of Going 17 noticed that part 2 of the season felt unfinished and different from other seasons. The top 10 episodes that I chose to represent the most popular of the season are mainly from part 1. Only 3 are from part 2. So even taking into account the fact that part 2 was more recent and therefore has had less time to accumulate views, 17 as a group has become more popular over the season in general, so you would think that would bring more views to the show. It kind of didn't though. Some episodes got as many views as their 2019 episodes when 17 was far less popular as a group. I think it's also important to note that although Going 17's 24-hour view count is going up, proving that it is seeing new viewers as a result of 17's overall popularity increasing, it does seem that the numbers stall past that first week. I believe that this is because when fans want to rewatch episodes, they search up their favorite episodes, and I think currently most people's favorite episodes come from the 2020 season or part 1 of 2021-2022. By Going 17 becoming as independently popular as it is, so much so to have its own fan base, that means that fans of the show are not always going to be satisfied just to see the members do any old thing, and as it's the first idol variety show to do so well independently, it does kind of need to be prioritized and formatted properly if it wants to keep that independence. So herein lies that catch-22, because Going 17 depends on 17, and they are the key ingredient. Now, I have no idea if the members even care about the show being bigger than them in any sense, considering they started it with no expectations. I also don't believe that part 2 was bad by like any stretch. It had a lot of great episodes that I really enjoyed. So realistically, they could change nothing going forward, and Going 17 will still be wildly successful and loved, far more than anyone ever imagined. But part of me does hope the Going 17 team plans accordingly for season 2023, and it's the best one yet. So this section is a little bit random, but I wanted to talk about it, and I had nowhere else to fit it in. Also, if I didn't bring this up, then we wouldn't be removing all the pins I told you to put in topics in this video. And I can't leave without this unpinned, although I feel as if there probably is at least one that is going to be unpinned, and that is going to bother me. As I mentioned briefly, around the middle of season 2019, you started to see strong personas or variety characters emerging from some of the members. A few examples of this being Junghan being known as the trickster, who always cheats to win, Dokyung being the gullible, illogical member, S-Coups the aggressively competitive, hot-tempered member, and Hoshi as the over-the-top, fun-to-pick-on target. All of the members I mentioned play up these small parts of themselves for entertainment. In a regular talk show or reality show, there's a clear knowledge most fans have that this isn't a representative of those actual people, that there is heavy planning, editing going into this, and some scripting to help the entertainment factor. But for Going 17, it's framed as just a show 17 does, and for a lot of people, they may not realize that the members are playing up their personality for entertainment. So a Cubic who's a fan solely of the show, or a 17 fan that doesn't watch many other forms of content, might believe that this is who these guys are in real life, which isn't a terrible thing, but I do believe it could be discouraging for these real life people to be pigeonholed as one thing or feel as if they're not being fully represented correctly. As recently as December 29th, Joshua was doing a V-Live for his birthday and mentioned that it was strange to him that there were people who just liked them due to Going 17, and that they must think he was an absolute weirdo because of how funny and strange he acts on the show. Another example I mentioned earlier is how on TikTok, anytime there's a lip sync trend calling someone evil or anything like that, you'll see fans using it to comment and laugh about how Junghan is evil and a trickster. I have done it, but it is kind of odd to me that this is his one defining factor that we all kind of just point out. Similarly, DK recently had a quote spread around the Twitter Carrot Spaces about how he had a hard time being called a dummy, even kind of in a silly, like, sweet way by a member. And it kind of brought up a discussion around the idea that he had been called illogical in the Going 17 Know Thyself episode, and then fans of the show were bringing up other instances where the Going 17 team had edited in moments where they were calling him, you know, dumb or kind of slow, or mentioning that he couldn't use his brain. It can be discouraging because that's not a good reflection of him deep down, and he does play up those aspects for entertainment. So I by no means believe that these guys are like sobbing into their pillows every night because fans might only see this one side of them. But I just thought it was interesting because Going 17 is a form of entertainment. But because these guys are doing these activities just as themselves, these characters or personas are attached to their real life names and faces. And they don't want to solely be known for their Going 17 selves. Unlike reality show personalities or talk show hosts, that is their main source of revenue and claim to fame. But Going 17 is a side project that blew up. They are performers and artists first and foremost, so having their Going 17 personas usurp their actual personality might be strange and, I don't know, discouraging or upsetting. Okay, so full disclosure, I had written out an entire end section that detailed my thoughts for Going 17 2023, as well as kind of just some final thoughts I had and wrap things up in a sense. That being said, of course, as soon as I had finished recording and was pretty much done editing, on January 17th, the Boo Suk Soon comeback promotion schedule was dropped. And in that promotion schedule, there was an announcement of some special Going 17 episodes that would be coming out beginning of February. Episodes are called Going Boo Suksoon, which, as you might know if you've watched this whole video, is absolutely my dream. That's a fantastic spin-off idea. I'm very excited. But this is also something I would have never expected to happen and could not have predicted. And now that's happened twice in just the month of January, essentially, or I guess end of December, early January. And when that was announced and I, realized that there was now a second time I had been surprised by Going 17 in their upcoming schedule, it kind of made me think about the end of my video. And it felt as if I was trying to, write a book report on a book that had not been completely written yet. When I came up with the idea for this video, it was in a video essay style, so in my head, I had to have a finale. There had to be some sort of wrap up and some sort of final thoughts. That kind of limited me, I think, or made me kind of see Going 17 in just one way, which is they were either going to stay the same as they are right now, or they would go back to what they had originally created, in 2019, 2020, and do that formula that I had mentioned. That being said, I think that I didn't acknowledge the third option, which would be continue to change and grow and reach new heights and become better just in a different way, because that's absolutely an option. Going 17 has surprised everyone always and has never stopped growing and never stopped changing. I believe that they perfected a certain formula, but that doesn't mean that it can't change and that they can't do something different. So with that, I'm kind of hoping to make this a part one, because I believe that, as I had mentioned, 17's idol schedule definitely got somewhat in the way, or there was a little bit of priority shifts and changes for part two of 2021-2022 season. And I don't think I'm the only person to notice that or the first person to ever bring that up. So I absolutely believe that the Going 17 team noticed that was happening. And I am kind of thinking, based off of just the way that the past couple months have gone and this new introduction of the Going Boo Suksoon spin-off episode that's coming at the same time as their comeback to help promote their comeback, I think that we're going to see a little bit more integration of 17, their idol schedule, and Going 17, the show. And I'm kind of excited to see what that looks like and how they do that. So that's why I kind of want to make this a part one. Leave the door open for more analysis and more thoughts later on. This would just be, Going 17, the early years, from nothing, from when it wasn't a variety show till now. And then later on, once there's been enough content and I feel like there's been more change, or we've seen enough growth of the show, then I'll do a part two, because I really feel as if the show is only still getting started. I kind of forgot that 3 years isn't a long time, and they can absolutely still have a lot of growth, and the show can still become even more iconic, which seems crazy because it's already pretty iconic, but I think it's absolutely possible. This will kind of be the end as it is. I'd wanted something more final, but I also don't want to put 17 or Going 17 in that box. I feel as if I'm excited to see what comes next. So for the time being, this is the end of part one. I hope you've enjoyed learning about their journey up until this point. If you didn't know much about the show, or if you just enjoy watching people talk about Going 17, I hope you enjoyed this as well. This was my first video, so I absolutely would love to hear your thoughts. I am a Libra though, so the compliment sandwich approach usually works with me if you want to give me criticism. But honestly, I'm just excited, and I have another idea that I'm working on, a video that I'm working on right now. So you should expect more K-pop content, not specifically always 17, but definitely more K-pop in the future. If you would like to see any of the other places that I talk about K-pop, or just any of my other social media channels, those will be down below. Please like, and if you feel like you're already enjoying what you're seeing, please subscribe. And yeah, to be continued. See you next time.
하지 말라고!